Hello and welcome to Kemet Capital, the community of holders and seekers of African capital. I'm your host, JS, and before we begin with today's Kemet reaction, we start with our usual public service announcement. Our guiding principle, our word of affirmation is the Cobb Douglas function. Guys, on our way to make Africa great again, you already know it's through economic power, economic strength, and might. And in order for us to achieve that goal, it's through efficient allocation of capital and labor. So today we're going to react to this interview that pertains to the physical capital allocation on our output function. All right, guys, let's jump into this video. As usual, it's from CNBC Africa.
Climate change and food insecurity reshape Africa's priorities. Next-gen agricultural technologies are emerging as high-impact investment opportunities. From drought-resistant seeds to digital farming tools, scalable solutions are transforming yields, resilience, and rural incomes. I spoke to Dr. Kanisa Skanangiro, Executive Director of the African Agriculture Technology Foundation, for more insights on the investment landscape and economic potential of Africa's agri-tech transformation.
All right, guys, before we start, we're going to give you a quick background on the Africa Agricultural Technology Foundation, AAATF, based non-governmental non-profit organization founded in 2003 with a core mission of transforming smallholders, farmers' livelihood across sub-Saharan Africa by facilitating access to innovative agricultural technologies through public-private partnerships. And firm AATF brings also improved seeds, including biotech hybrids, resistance to pests and drought, mechanization tools, digital solutions, and know-how to farmers in over 23 to 24 African countries. That's the background.
Next generation products, we have a number of
Yeah,
them
AATF.
currently. They are ranging from seed technologies to digital technologies. We have really cutting edge technologies being now commercialized. Uh, and I will start with the seed. I think there are many issues with the farmers on the seed they use, which are not very well selected to face the challenges that the farmers are facing, especially on productivity. We still have seeds which are of low productivity. We still have seeds which don't provide resistance to insect and diseases. That the next generation of seeds that we are bringing are bred to resist some of the key pests, like for maize, the fall worm, the stem borers, but also for the beans, we have many other diseases. We need to have seeds which resist the drought, and that is something which is already commercialized.
All right, guys, I'm just going to give my 2 cents here on this introduction, right, pertaining to the seeds. So we have to remember that when he's talking about seeds, he's talking about engineered seeds, so OGMs, organic, genetically modified. So those seeds, right, they have obviously positive impacts like higher yields. The engineered seeds, they are often bred to resist pests, as you just mentioned. This reduces crop loss, improves output, especially in regions facing like erratic, weather patterns and pest situation. Also, it lowers the input costs because pest-resistant seeds reduce the need for chemical pesticides. So you don't have to pulverize to spray your fields as often because your seeds are already kind of resistant to some of those diseases or insects. So now you're saving money and reducing health risk. You also have herbicide tolerant seeds that make weed management easier and cheaper. Another advantage is improved resilience. You have threats such as drought tolerance, rather disease resistance, that it just mentioned that help stabilize production in harsh climates, which is increasingly critical due to climate change. We already know in this community that as African seekers and holders of capital, we need to find sustainable way, to perform our economic activities. Another advantage is the market access, because in some countries, engineered seeds can open doors to export markets where specific grain traits are sought after or preferred. So those are the advantages. Now we have to talk about the risk or the disadvantages. The number one is the cost of the seeds. The engineer seeds are often patented and cost more upfront. Farmers may also need to buy them every season due to legal or biological restriction. No seed, no saving seeds. So you're buying seeds every year. You have to buy the same seed from the same company. So the company producing those seeds, i.e., most likely like firms like Monsanto, they have annual revenue, recurrent revenue, though, so that's a big, good business model for them. But for us as African farmers, does it really make sense? You also have one of the disadvantages, like the loss of traditional varieties. Those engineer seeds, they're not traditional, as the name implies. They're engineered, man-made. So over time, increased adoption of engineered varieties may crowd out local seed systems and biodiversity, which are essential for long-term food security and cultural identity. Another potential risk is the regulatory barriers, because in some countries, specifically in the European Union, they restrict genetically modified imports, potentially limiting market options for farmers using those seeds, which are first of all very expensive, and you have to buy them every year. Because another potential risk is the intellectual property disputes. You know that farmers may unknowingly infringe on seed patents or face legal action if they reuse protected seeds or if pollen from GM crops contaminate non-GM fields. So you can have a bee doing, you know, uh, usual pollen collection, and they go from GM to non-GM crops. You might be in trouble, you as a farmer. I don't want to say thank God, but most of the time the legal system in Africa is not as advanced to uh, to be able to sustain those type of litigation, but the risk is still there. And the final one is the environmental concerns. So over reliance on certain traits like herbicide tolerance, drought resistance can lead to herbicide resistant weeds as well, like super weeds or ecosystem imbalance. And we know that when the ecosystem changes too fast, some species might be taken aback and maybe gone forever. So when we're talking about seeds, for me personally, I'm not, you know, an advocate for the GMs, because most likely it's a Western um, multinational, holding and owning those seeds. And as you've heard, every year you have to pay the same. You have to buy every year, because you cannot use the same seed again and again, because it might be there might be litigations. Whereas when you're using natural seeds, God is never gonna bring you. It's not. God is never gonna bring you to the tribunal. So food for thoughts, guys.
And in some countries, we are seeing that the environment is ripe to adopt those technologies. The conventional one, for example, for maize, drought-resistant maize, we
Mm.
have it commercialized in 33 countries with the support of our partners, especially the African Development Bank. They have a program which is TAT, which pushes technology, agricultural technology across the continent. And we are very happy. It is bringing some results.
You guys, I don't know if you remember, a couple of weeks ago we presented Hello Tractor. So Hello Tractor, it's an app. It's an app based in Nigeria that connects, holders of agricultural equipment to farmers. So you're a farmer, you're looking to rent, like, I don't know, tractor. You go through Hello Tractor, you rent from an owner of physical capital, and you use it, you pay back. So it's a great way for African farmers to, to scale up the business by introducing mechanization. So those are some digital tools that are available to African farmers already today.
Result. Now the next thing is to develop the whole seed system. On the side of digital technology, I think the continent is getting ready to use different tools ranging from the ordinary app which connects the services like mechanization and the user of the mechanization services. We have that
This is
in
Hello Fresh,
Nigeria,
Hello
mainly in the
Tractor.
south part of it. But also we have digital apps which connect the farmer to the market and those which provide advice to the farmers on different value chain. And that is critical because farmers need extension services. And in most countries, the extensionists have been very much, the number has dropped dramatically. So we need to use those digital tools like to replace human being going from field to field and giving the information. So I think with more and more young people coming to agriculture, next-gen technologies are getting more and more acceptable and I would say even called for. So we have, I would say, the challenge to respond to all those needs at the same time.
Indeed, and let us also now address the elephant in the room, which is capital deployment. That is very important. What role are we seeing agri-tech firms or agri-fintech platforms playing here to address or help de-risk some of the investments that we have and also address the funding aspect of it? Because as much as we do have technology, funding is very important. How best can this be addressed?
I guess I was pleasantly surprised when I prepared this reaction to learn that there's already a lot of agri fintech apps that are available to farmers in the market. So you have some platform that provides credit and input bundles. You have startups like Apollo Agriculture in Kenya and Zambia that bundle seeds, fertilizers, advice, insurance, and input financing. Farmers repay after harvest via vouchers redeemed through local agri dealers. So that's a great app, for credit and input bundles. You also have like digital credit scoring and lending. You have this entity called Emata in Uganda that combines AI and risk analytics to underwrite loans reaching 38,000 farmers and disbursing about like $1 million with reported productivity boost. Another pan of the agri fintech industry is the insurance. As risk mitigation, you have Polar Advisors in Kenya that provides index-based climate insurance using satellites and drone data, serving 6.5 million farmers across 17 countries, with recent 20 million Series Bs in funding. So insurance is already available through AgriFintech, but you also have app like that provide market access and payments, like VunaPay and Tingo Mobile. VunaPay in Kenya is an AI-powered produce grading instant payment via mobile money to cooperative to increase efficiency and productivity. And the final element is crowd farming and investment platforms like Crowdy in Nigeria, Complete Farmers in Ghana, Livestock Wealth in South Africa, that enable diaspora urban dwellers to invest in farms, asset tracked via data and remote sensing. So this has the consequence of broadening the capital access, the capital pool available to farmers, which is great because from there they can mechanize the field and increase the yield.
Yeah, first on these micro financing agricultural technology, we can see, and using fintech, we can see a lot of improvement where the farmers can use things like M-Pesa, like mobile money to access some of the services, to be able to pay fertilizers, to be able to pay seeds from those agro dealers. So that has quite well improved, and they can access more loans. In Kenya now, more loans are up to 80,000 can be very quickly reached from M-Pesa.
And guys, for an entrepreneur, access to capital is critical. It's very important, specifically if you're a farmer. Climate risk. So if you can find like some sort of insurance product for your yield, for your crops, that's very beneficial.
I think that is something good. Insurance services can be provided. Paying for those services can be directly done on mobile phone. I think those are okay. But I was this morning in some pitches. I attended some pitches with the young farmers. What you can see is that we are still facing key challenges to access good money, to do good investment in improving our practices, our tools, accessing those new generation of technologies. Banks, they say, we have money, and money is available. Here in one of the presentation, Equity Bank said, we have put aside up to 30% of our loans to support agriculture.
That's a great news, guys. That's a great news. And you guys know already, we're trying to hammer in our mind that it has to come from within. So from there, we have to source our own capital. So if local banks are dedicating 30% of their capital or their lending business towards agriculture, we're going to be a powerhouse, guys, because we have the most arable land in the continent. We have the largest share of population involved in agriculture. So imagine if we increase productivity, if we increase, the amount of revenue that we make per hour in agriculture, we're going to have a richer population, a stronger middle class, and a developed continent.
But we need to de-risk that agriculture, and de-risking it is quite difficult because it needs to have insurance for agriculture, which is very well, functioning well. We need to have the trusts of insurers.
We already know that we have some agri-fintech providing insurance to farmers as a de-risking mechanism.
We need to have the risk reduced, especially when it comes to climate-related issues, when it comes to insect issues. And that is where I say, with the collaboration between the farmers and scientists, we can provide that kind of shield to the farmers and allow them, even during terribly bad periods, to get still something so that they don't lose all the crop. And we are getting there with good examples. In Nigeria, those involved in cowpea value chain used to lose up to 80% of their crop to Maruca vitrata. This is an insect.
I mean, guys, I don't know about you, but if you lose 80% of your crop to an insect, I mean, you have to be very resilient minded to continue. So I might understand why some of them will want to go towards, engineered seeds. But again, the risk and the disadvantages, in my opinion, are too big.
Now, with the variety that we provided, they are resilient. They are shielded against that one. They used to spray 8 to 10 times. Now they spray twice. That means they are getting more money and they can pay the loans if the bank can trust them. We are still working on smallholder farmers tailored facilities with the bank, and I think this conversation should not be only between the government, the farmers, but also scientists, we need to come and provide that kind of collateral, soft way of collateral.
And even from talking about involving scientists, if I mean for me, if those um, engineer seeds are engineered by African scientists, I'll be up for it, right? Because I know those guys, they are, they are concerned about the future of the Africans. They are concerned about, what those crops are actually going to provide in terms of, feed and alimentation to either the population or animals. So there will be more, I don't want to say thorough, but, more ethical concerns towards, good practices, not just creating some engineer engineered seeds to make money, as we know in the capitalistic societies. That's what they do.
Say we will be with them.
Yes, when we talk about collateral here, this is a return on investment for the financials rather, which is very important. Like in retrospect, in good terms, like what should they be looking at? If I give you maybe like a 1 million, like what is the financials return on investment in this?
Yeah.
How far can they go?
In general, it depends on the value chain, but when you look at product like maize, when you use those improved seeds, same applies to the cowpea. $1 can have in return $4. So that is very important. It is actually huge for those who adopted technologies, because the cost of production has reduced. They don't have to buy sprays, those.
I mean, again, guys, economically, of course, it's going to make sense. Monsanto is an American company and it's all about the dollar. So if you use this crop, you're going to see an improvement in your balance sheet, in your bottom line. But what about the environment? What about the seeds that you're producing? Are they healthy? Is there any side effect, long-term effect that we don't know yet? So is it worth it to make that money now, and then the entire continent is unhealthy 50 years from now when we discover that those engineered seeds were not actually good for our health? So there needs to be a balance, especially for us African. We shouldn't be focused only on making profit, but also increase the well-being of the population, increase, the 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 health standards of the African people, and that's through alimentation, is through agriculture.
Chemicals many times, and also the quality of the grain they receive is better than when the plant has been predated by those insects. So they can multiply by 4 the investment, and that is something that is changing the life.
I mean, guys, I'm not going to be a party pooper. If you're telling me that you're going to increase your revenue by 4 times, I mean, who am I to tell you, right? You have the family, you have a family to feed, you have projects, you have investment, you have dream aspirations, all of that. So, I mean, I'm not going to tell you don't increase your revenue 4 times. All I want is for us Africans to hold and raise capital through our own means. So if that means using engineer seeds for the time being, let's go for it. But you guys already imagine I'm not really 100% for it. I'm just, it's for the improvement of the continent, but we need to find better solutions. This is not the ultimate solution. There needs to be an improved solution for this situation.
Lives of many smallholder farmers in areas where they adopted technologies.
And what are some of the long-term macroeconomic benefits of, widespread adoption of this technology are we likely to see here?
We say that more than 60% of Africans, sub-Saharan Africa, are involved in agriculture. So it is huge portion of the population. This is one. And we have like they produce 80% of the food that we consume. That is also very important. And the GDP currently of agriculture in many countries range between 20 to 30 or so percent of the GDP. It therefore means that if we manage to improve the production, and this will go with the productivity, with the storage, with we can add value addition. It simply means that the income to the farmer will be multiplied by, let's say, a 4 factor, the factor 4. And that will mean that the farmer also can have money to inject in the economy and be a true economic development agent in the country. And that will
An
increase the
economic
GDP
powerhouse.
of the country and reduce dramatically the level of poverty, because it will lift many from the current status of poverty to a higher level. And this is what we dream to see. We are working very hard to see how a farmer, a smallholder farmer, will be able to produce more than the family can consume. To move away from the from the just the food security. This agriculture, you go to the shamba and you say, I will produce for my family. No, produce for the market, make agriculture be a business, and then get money to even cater for other services, including improving the nutrition, because you don't produce everything.
All right, guys. Great insight from Canisius. Uh, very interesting conversation on agricultural development at that. So, um, you guys let me know what you think in the comment, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.